I hear the call of the stars.
G'day guys, Duckville here bringing you game number 2 between EGiNcontrol and EGiHuk. These guys are going to have to obviously fight out again to see if Huk's going to take a team kill here and get rid of EGiNcontrol in this particular matchup, or if EGiNcontrol can come back and perhaps bring it back to the third game and maybe even take out Huk. We'll see what happens. But there we had in game 1, we actually saw a little bit of just a little bit of difference in the build order there. Huk actually getting out a few extra zealots, which you could make the argument actually won him the game there, just because they actually put a lot more damage on the stalkers that EGiNcontrol had, and actually started reducing the numbers of stalkers quite quickly there for EGiNcontrol, so he had no way of actually fending off the blink stalkers. So in this game we may see something just a little bit different, but here we have a little bit of banter here, just EGiNcontrol just thinking 3-gate, but and Huk telling him not to 4-gate. But we'll see what happens. But obviously these guys are well aware of their particular types of their plays that they do. Obviously these guys in the same team for a little bit of time now. But we'll figure out if Huk is going to go for the same style that he did before, going that 1 gate into Robo into 3 gates and then switching over to the Twilight tech. And whether EGiNcontrol is going to stick with the same thing, which was effectively, as we said, kind of the same thing, but just a little bit of difference in the way that it was actually constructed. But Huk now moving into the center of the map here, he is going to actually just put the get the probe straight down on that watchtower, and he actually saw exactly where that probe had come from EGiNcontrol. Nice little mini tactic there, a little metagame tactic from Huk, just to run straight into the middle and pick that up. So he will be able to scout out straight away where EGiNcontrol is, but keeping in mind that this isn't the ladder version of Shattered Temple, whereby you can spawn close ground spots. But in fact, Huk capturing that probe of EGiNcontrol and taking that out straight away. Huk is now free to do whatever he wanted to with his tech, given that there is no more scouting probe for EGiNcontrol. But now EGiNcontrol is obviously going to have to contend with the Huk probe inside his base, takes out some of the minerals there, and is going to try and run away with those minerals in his hand. He's like a kid with an ice cream, just running around being really annoying, and actually trying to take some shots at these other probes here with the little taser they have. But big hit there for EGiNcontrol to lose that scouting probe. Probably you really want to keep that alive as long as possible. Obviously you want to see if your opponent gets the 2 gas, as we can see here Huk is going for, or you want to see if your opponent is spending up all of that that energy on the Nexus. As we mentioned in game number 1, if you can tell exactly how much energy is being used, you can sort of make a determination on exactly what your opponent is doing. But EGiNcontrol meanwhile is just chronoing up the Stalker and the Warp Gate tech, so we'll see if he is able to get that out. He does have it slightly ahead of Huk just at the moment here. Huk not actually chronoing his Warp Gate tech out, so he may be looking to do something pretty much the same as the last game here, but we'll see what he is up to. He's actually chronoing out a few Stalkers. He's actually got 2 queued up there. Now one is out, and he's going to have a second one in just a moment, and we'll see if he's going to try and push in with a couple of the Stalkers. Perhaps that, I don't think it's not going to be that 3 Stalker rush. You do need the second gate for that, but he is going to chrono out what he can. He's now pushing across the map with that 1 Stalker. He's going to try and take out the probe that was sitting there on the watchtower, but he's not going to be able to push up past these forces here, and in fact they just sort of pass each other. No shots fired, so that's going to be just sort of a stagnant situation for the moment. The Stalker does take a shot and is going to have to contend with an extra Stalker now in the mix. We'll see if EGiNcontrol has some micro perhaps to use the Zealot to his advantage now that there is a second Stalker for him as well, and now the Zealot is going to try and push through and take some of the hits on these of the Stalkers from Huk. But Huk doing a good job, just pulling back for the moment. But meanwhile, back in the bases of these guys, we've got 3 gateways up and running for Huk. Looks as if he is going to go for the 3-gate Stalker blink, and EGiNcontrol actually going 4 gates. So we are going to see a 4-gate from EGiNcontrol. There is that proxy pylon to bring in more forces, and trying to warp in another one down here as well. He's not going to be able to get, I don't think this one will survive very long, but Huk doing some good micro, taking some shots at that pylon, and now we see if EGiNcontrol could try and keep this pylon up. I don't think he's going to. 1 Stalker on the high ground takes a shot, and there it goes. So Huk is going to be in a lot of trouble here. The 4-gate is obviously far superior to 3, and not to mention the fact that Huk's 4-gate, Warp Gate tech, is not actually done yet. Now has to put down an extra pylon to make sure he doesn't get blocked. because now the warp gate tech is done. Just switching those gateways over. Going to need to chrono these as fast as he can to actually make sure he has enough units to defend here. Has a couple of these stalkers just on the high ground, able to shoot down that pylon. He may be able to get it down before it warps in any more units. But here comes the attack force of EGiNcontrol, just trying to push up. Does get rid of that pylon. That actually blocks EGiNcontrol. So we will see a bit of a fight here between these two players. Keep in mind, Huk has some impeccable stalker micro, but in fact, just losing two of them straight up, that is not going to fare well for him. He's actually currently sitting in the in an even position at the moment, but that one zealot could make the difference when these units try and battle out here. We can see that Huk obviously has a little bit of an advantage with his positioning, but the problem is that he is starting to lose some of his stalkers, and in fact EGiNcontrol is actually now down one stalker with that proxy pylon taken out. The only proxy pylon he has is the one just down here, but now a second one is just being warped in on the high ground. This could be a little bit of trouble for Huk. Currently the forces are currently sitting at 7 stalkers for EGiNcontrol, 6 each. One zealot in the mix here. That one zealot, as we said, could make the difference. Beautiful micro there by Huk to push back those stalkers that were injured, but EGiNcontrol is now starting to suffer a little bit. His stalkers are just not surviving long enough to actually make it worth his while, and still no extra tech here from Huk. In fact, he's still only sitting on those 3 gates, and he is holding this off with 3 gates with impeccable micro, and he could survive here, just depending on how well these stalkers survive against these zealots. In fact, the probe coming along to tank some damage. That's beautiful little work by Huk there. In fact, the stalker's now currently sitting at 5 for Huk and 2 for EGiNcontrol. So EGiNcontrol is going to have to do some warping quite quickly here if he is going to stay on top of this. But now Huk actually looking in a brilliant position here. He's got 7 stalkers to the 3 of EGiNcontrol, and EGiNcontrol is now going to have to leave. That was just a failed 4-gate there from EGiNcontrol. Huk doesn't even have the Twilight Council, only getting that now. And just brilliant play by Huk to hold that off. Just amazing to actually see him hold a 4-gate with the 3. Just some beautiful positioning and some beautiful micro. And now EGiNcontrol is going to have a lot to deal with once he gets back to his base. Obviously, when you do that 4-gate, you commit a lot to those to that actually working. His second gas is only just going up now. He may lose some of that those proxy pylons. No, he doesn't actually lose any of them. But the stalker's now just poking around for Huk. He's going to see what he can do against the leftover forces of EGiNcontrol. There's only 5 stalkers plus a 6th one that's just now warped in. So he should be okay on the high ground just for the moment here. But have a look at the tech that's coming in from Huk, getting a Dark Shrine. So he is going to get some tech up pretty quickly here, knowing that EGiNcontrol is going to be down on his economy. He's not going to be as far ahead as Huk is, and obviously that means that the Robotech is going to be a lot later. And in fact, I would be very surprised if EGiNcontrol was even able to get it. He really needs some blink to make sure he can keep up with Huk's stalkers, but there is a Twilight Council. That is probably going to signal the end of the game there for Huk. For EGiNcontrol, sorry. One Lonely Zealot, I think, got in here and tried to take some shots at some pros, but didn't get too much done. The stalkers were pulled back, so he is going to have to run all the way back to EGiNcontrol's base if he is going to start the attack soon. But he is just sweeping around, just trying to find where this proxy pylon is. Finally gets it, and there it is. Takes it out. That is actually going to hurt EGiNcontrol quite a lot. Obviously, as we mentioned, the economy is not going to be where it really needs to be for EGiNcontrol, and now, in fact, has to put down another pylon to actually make sure he is not in the red and that he can warp in extra units. Now, the Twilight Council is now done, but the problem for EGiNcontrol is that he's going to have to deal with some DTs in a short moment. Here comes the DT Shrine just warping in there after the 63 years that it takes to make it, and 3 DTs are now going to come in. He could essentially just walk up here and win with these DTs, I would think, but we'll see what Huk is going to do. In fact, he's going to warp in an Archon right at the front here and then push it in like a wheelbarrow with those stalkers, and then he's just going to walk up there. This could be the end for EGiNcontrol. This DT, 1 DT inside the main, and there are the extra zealots that Huk had as well again, and the 1 Archon just going to rip through everything there. Well played, sir, from EGiNcontrol, and good luck and GG. So that is the end of this particular pool play match between Huk and EGiNcontrol. Hope you guys liked that one. Some quick PvPs, and go and have a look at some of the other matches here on MLG TV, or make sure you jump on to youtube.com/duckvillol if you want to see some more of my stuff as well. Cheers.